Hi, hey, welcome back to Jams and Drams. Just trying a little intro music whilst the holding screen was there and clearly didn't work. But, thanks for letting me know, James. How you doing? So hopefully you can see and hear me now anyway. Hi. There we go. It's actually live. Excellent. Wow, that is quite an incredible username. Poppycock, gobbledygook and kerfuffle collywobbles. Good evening. Hey, Sam, good to see you, man. Who is that? Poppycock, gobbledygook, kerfuffle collywobbles. That's a great name. Yeah, James, thanks for dropping by. Good to see you, Sam. So yeah, welcome back to Jams and Drams. I was going to, in fact, I'll just play what I was going to do as an intro track and do some jamming just to get my fingers going. Hopefully you can, that's not the right one. It's this one, I think. So let me know if you can hear, the backing track there. Excellent. Good stuff. Excellent. Okay, cat bopping away. That's good. It's better than screaming to get out the room like mine do sometimes. So yeah, welcome back. I don't have anything focused planned for this stream today because whilst working regular stuff, I've been trying to get the stream fixed. I tried to do a stream midweek and it did not happen at all. I was having a whole bunch of connection issues, which I've definitely sorted now. That was to do with a VPN that I was connected to accidentally. And yeah, that was... Okay, Nick, I will remember that. Nice one, thanks for dropping by. So the connection issue is now stable. And the sound and the sync issue, I think, I got a new little bit of gear, a new mixer, Zoom little mixer that's hopefully going to solve it. Not exactly as well as I wanted to, but everything should now be in sync. So yeah, this stream tonight, I've got a few different options. first of all, feel free, anyone in the chat, if you want to just throw out any questions, feel free. If you want to guide the direction of the stream in terms of what I'm playing or what I'm talking about, you can go ahead. Steve Cassidy, good to see you, my friend. How you doing, man? Hope you've had a lovely weekend. Everyone who's watching me, if you don't know Steve Cassidy, he's got a really great fun channel. He's doing some really interesting fun videos at the moment, so go and check him out. He's doing also a live stream on a Thursday, and he's a really nice chap as well. So go and subscribe to Steve's channel and check him out. So yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. It can be playing related, gear related, whatever you like. Hey, hey Mike. Absolutely not. And I can. Otherwise, I can just do some playing. Maybe if I do some teaching, if there's anything that comes up. Yeah, Nick, what's your question? Yeah, sure thing. What's the solo question? Yeah, go for it. Oh, of course, as well, the other half of what the whole stream's about. So, my weekly dram. It's a whistle pig, you might see in the corner there. So this is a Canadian-American hybrid, which is not particularly maybe a good thing right now, all things considered. But yeah, this is a beautiful rye that Rhett Shull got me into, actually, as a recommendation. So yeah, I've been enjoying this for a little while. Hi, Stacey. Heard some Vi come out there. Ah, where? With the intro track or just what I was playing? I don't know. I don't know what was Vi that you were hearing. Hi Jason, good to see you, man. How you doing? Good to hear. Newcastle won a trophy. Football, I'm afraid I'm completely football clueless. Mike in the chat might be aware. He's an American with more football knowledge than me. But yeah, good. Glockta. David, what you're listening to for fun lately? Any albums that you'd recommend? Listening wise, what am I listening to? So, kind of depends on the, we talk about different things. So I'm the big, huge fan of Jason Isbell. As a solo artist in the 400 Unit the band, so he's got a new sort of acoustic record out. So I'm kind of listening to him a lot. What else have I been listening to? Hans Zimmer stuff. I'm going back through sort of some of the soundtrack Hans Zimmer things. Listening to Sonny Stitt and some Sonny Stitt stuff. Some Charlie Parker blues. Just got playlists of the blues stuff from Charlie Parker, and then Jonathan Kreisberg's One album and the 9 Stories Wide album. Those are the ones that come to mind. So if you don't know any of those stuff, where do they start? So obviously I'm guessing you know Hans Zimmer. Jason Isbell, absolutely, probably one of my most favourite songwriters of all time, really. I think he's a modern day genius. Absolutely beautiful, rootsy kind of slightly country, Americana, rock, whatever. I don't know how you classify it really, but it's really incredible. Hans Zimmer, obviously you're going to know him. Sonny Stitt, saxophone player, great bebop saxophone player. Of course, probably know Charlie Parker. And who else did I say? Jonathan Kreisberg, so jazz guitar as well. So modern jazz guitar player. Yeah, really, really recommend all that stuff. In fact, I've probably got on my phone actually some other things that I've been listening to. No, that's about it for now. Nick, so question is, I was a bit used to the cage system, a bit of triads as well. Should one abandon it to master purely interval-based approach? Absolutely not, no. So maybe we can start there with some fretboard visualization stuff. Think of it as a cumulative thing. My own personal story, if you caught last week's stream, maybe I'm being slightly metaphorical when I say I burnt it to the ground and started again with an intervals approach. I think that's impossible to do completely, even if you really wanted to, in my case. But I don't think you have to take that approach philosophically. I think you can bolt it on. For me, the intervals approach is very much the bedrock now of everything that I do. But so long as that you can see intervallically the sort of small geometric shapes on top of whatever other kind of system you use or alongside it, I don't think you have to. I don't think it's just a one complete thing. It's not the way that most people's brains work. And also, the only caveat I would say is that make sure that when you're learning the system, the 2-point system, the intervals thing, is that you are actually doing it. You are actually, because there is a tendency to lean back on some of the other kind of ways of cataloging, mapping and visualizing, and sort of not do the hard work of adopting the new intervals thing. But in reality, when you're playing, when the rubber meets the road and you've got to play the guitar, you use whatever works. So, don't think you need to burn it to the ground like I did to really master the interval thing. Hopefully that makes sense. Stacey, that's really kind of you. How the hell did you get your fingers to have that good economy of motion? Well, they're personally feeling a bit crap tonight because I've not done as much playing while practicing this week because I've been working on so many technical gremlins with the live streaming setup. But yeah, on a good day, yeah, they do have a pretty good economy of motion. Maybe that is a stream in and of itself. I could do a whole stream focused on that for you, on the kind of technique side of things. Jason Carter says, David, something I struggle with is relaxing when playing. It makes a huge difference. Any tips? Yeah, I struggle with that too, I've got to be honest, and especially when you're doing things like a live stream or when you're playing live or any kind of pressure scenario, tension and that can definitely creep in even more so. And relaxing is massive. I have a very light touch. It's going back to maybe useful for you, Stacey. A large part of what the way I try to play, certainly with the left hand, well, both hands really, but is to try to have as relaxed a lighter touch as possible. So that may bite me in the ass when it comes to digging in. Maybe some people could accuse my playing of being, you know, a little bit light, or I don't know, not having balls. But overall, when I'm trying to play sort of quickly and sort of technical stuff, I want to have the tension down to an absolute minimum. It also enables you to be able to have a slightly lower action, etc., and set your guitar up in a different way as well. But I mean, it's one of those things where I think it's context dependent. The moment I'm playing any kind of like blues stuff or funk parts, or you know, I'm gonna change the approach, and maybe there'll be more, I don't want to say tension, but yeah, definitely digging in, which inevitably increases tension. I think one of the things that I try to do, Jason, and again, this ties back into your question as well, Stacey, is just try to have some useful things where maybe I can demonstrate some of this. Maybe if I just put on a slow beat. And if what I want to try and do is just get my hand as loose and as playing as light as possible and as accurate as possible. It might be a lick, it might be a scale, it might be whatever, arpeggio, but just trying to be in as accurate as I can and as loose and as light as possible, even if I'm not particularly even making all that much kind of sound even, right? And the point here is I'm playing just eighth notes. Just kind of gesturing and trying to get the actual hand itself moving really fluently and lightly. And then maybe take it up. Well, that would be 16th, but maybe take it to eighth note triplets. Come to the side. So you can also see, like, I'm not doing this. I'm not sort of clamped up over the top of the neck. And I'm also not doing like big, like rotational movement there to do the hammer-ons and pull-offs, kind of keeping everything going from the fingers. So that economy of motion that you talked about, Stacey, is really to do with that I'm trying to move from the fingers as much as possible and not the hand. Because that obviously it's a smaller distance, so you'll be able to move it quicker with less energy. So if I'm playing something like, let's say I'm playing like this, try and get the angle right here. Just say I'm playing something really basic, just chromatic, and going. So you can see there each finger is trying to go on and off individually. And definitely not going. because that is the kryptonite to economy of motion and again for tension as well, because if I kind of hold that down and do like, that's really not accurate rhythmically, and I can feel the tension. And it's hard for me to do because I don't play that way anymore. But if I want to play much quicker subdivision on this, probably not accurate subdivision wise there at this tempo, but yeah, so that's the one of the big things that I tried to do with the economy of motion and tension, is to be as relaxed as possible and to not be kind of flapping from the hand, trying to get the fingers moving as much as I can. So yeah, hopefully that makes some sense. Jay Curley, nice to see you, mate. Hi David, any tips on ensuring your trem returns to pitch after use other than removing friction as part of the setup, i.e. do you flick the bar after use like Jeff Beck supposedly did? No, I think I've been really lucky. It depends on what system, what trem you've got. I know back when I was using the Ibanez RGs with the floating, like the kind of Floyd Rose type, the Edge and the Edge Pros and all that, they were great quality trems, but occasionally you would get the burr in the knife edges where then it wouldn't really come back to pitch all the time, and then you'd have to kind of reset it with the flick. Maybe that occurs on the other types of trims as well, but since I started using 2-point trims and then sort of vintage ones with 6 screw things, I don't do as much crazy trem stuff anymore, so I guess I don't get affected by it. And the trems that I have are all very, very high quality. So my Fibonacci's, Fibonacci make their own bridges, their own trems, and they are incredible. Both the 2-point and the 6 screw. But I've also got Wilkinson ones and the Goto 510 on the other guitars on the K-lines and Sirs. And they, I think, so long as you're just relatively well maintained and you don't go too crazy on them, I don't ever get that sort of thing where they're going out of pitch. This guitar at the moment's got super old strings, so this will go out from the strings, not the trem. But I think it's about making sure it's not obviously sticking in the nut, making sure it's not getting, there's no burrs on your saddles or in the trem itself where the strings getting caught as the tension's changing. Yeah. So I don't know. What trems are you using? What guitars are you playing on, Jake? Hey Sam, question I've had fun asking folks lately is, are there any absolute must-haves in your playing and or approach to tone that you can't do without? Could be gear, but also any techniques too. Absolute must-haves, yeah. I suppose it depends on what I'm playing, because the answer would be very, very different. Obviously, if I'm talking about jazz versus just anything else. I think the older I get, the more I just know that I'm a Strat guy. I'm a Strat/Super Strat guy, and so single coils. I used to love humbuckers as a kid, and I've definitely become much more a fan of single coils, and certainly, 3 single coils or HSS. Big fan of HSS. I think it gets a bad reputation unfairly, but yeah, that's probably what I can't do without. Tone wise, for other stuff, in sort of like this kind of guitar playing, some sort of either a modded hot rodded Marshall maybe plexi, or the sort of D style kind of sound. Those are the things that tonally, that as long as I've got that and then a little bit of delay, I'm usually happy. If you're talking about jazz, then obviously then the whole thing flips, and then I'm thinking like 175 and a Fender Deluxe reverb, and basically I'm good, more than happy. Nick, Poppycock, also can you break down a bit of your thinking process whilst you're improvising? Is it always interval bass now? No, again, it can sort of change. So if I'm playing through changes at site. It's like, so something, maybe I'll demonstrate this a little bit later. If I just pick a tune at random and I've never seen the chords before, I probably will very much be biasing more towards thinking intervallically and being far more cerebral about it. But absolutely, you know, I'm trying to switch off that part of my brain. I talked about this on last week's stream, actually, on the fretboard visualization stream. I'm actually aiming as much as I can to not be thinking about and visualizing. I'm trying to hear and trying to be more creative and free. That's the goal anyway. So, yeah. Oh, you said maybe I'm in a demonstration. Can we pick a chord for you to improvise over? Yeah, I mean, I'll probably demonstrate something. Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, I mean, do that. Stick a chord in the chat. The reason I'm asking is I just can't comprehend how one can do very fast runs based on thinking intervals. I talked about this last week, and this is a very common question, point raised. Maybe catch last week's stream on catch up if I do talk about some of this. I'll come back to that, Nick. Yeah. Glocka saying any gas for new guitars. Actually, you know what? It's one of those things where I'm so spoiled for nice guitars now that I don't really have it. I mean, there's always a little bit of gas. There are some holes in my collection. I'm going to do some videos on this at some point, but I've never owned a Telecaster and I've never owned a 335. Those two types of guitars. So I've got to correct that, haven't I? So maybe there's some sort of gas adventure there for a Tele and a 335. So Jake saying using thanks, using 2-point stock trem on a Fender Ultra Strat, but definitely preferred the Goto 510 with the Wilkinson locking saddles. Interesting. Oh, Wilkinson locking saddles on a Goto trem. When I had a Sir, and that was way better. Cheers for the answer. Yeah. I mean, so Jake, are you having issues with the 2-point trem on that Fender Ultra? Is that what you're having issues with? And have you got the nut sorted? Is there anything catching in the nut? If there's not, then maybe you need to look at if there's any burrs or catches, anything getting caught in the trem itself. And I did have that on a Fender Player series about 10 or 15 years ago, where now it comes to mind now you've mentioned that, where the trem, it wouldn't go back to pitch for that reason. And there was this, I think the G or the B string was getting caught on a burr or something inside of the trem itself. So maybe you can look into that. Steve, is that the chord for me to visualize playing? The C. Let me just... So, Nick, can I please give a bit of info about your online Zoom lessons? Send me an email. I can give you that. I've got like all that info there. But I mean, I can get we can discuss something via email or Instagram or whatever. But basically, yeah, flexible as I can be. And do I follow a certain method for intermediate level? It's not really a method, although I do similar things, I guess, because people are coming to me for very often for similar things, specific things, but everyone's different. Everybody's going to require a different approach. It's a bit of a cliche, but that is absolutely important. I always do like anyone wants to just have a Zoom hang for 10, 15 minutes just to get info about it and just to me to get info about you, then that's something I always do as a free thing, just to see if, I'm the right teacher for you, you're the right student for me, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, so that's something that's absolutely important, I think, for successful kind of Zoom online lessons. yeah, that's really important. Steve Cassidy, I have the presuming WLS is Wilkinson on a Legato 510-2, great combo. Ah, cool. Okay, so saddles, yeah, Wilkinson saddles. Is that what's on the Pete Thorne guitar, or is that a Wilkinson Tram entirely? I just can't. I don't know if I've ever noticed. Is that like an aftermarket thing you've done, or do Sir build a Legato 510 with Wilkinson saddles? I'm not really a guy for like that much modding of stuff, so yeah, I don't really. I need to do more of that, but. Okay, Glocked, busy day, no time for proper practice. All you have is 15 minutes to sit down with your guitar. How do you make the best of it? I can tell you exactly what I'm doing because I'm actually doing that every day at the moment, although I do get a little bit more than 15 minutes. So my current personal thing is I'm working on half-step passing note rules through chords. So for me, I'm just like taking like a dominant scale through the cycle of fifths and putting in sort of the Barry Harris passing note sort of half-step rules, and then just taking that around the cycle of fifths. So something very specific where I have to engage my brain, and it's a focused amount of time. I'm focused for a very specific amount of time, and I don't kind of noodle. I don't kind of get sidetracked. I just have an objective that I'm trying to achieve, which is to control my half note passing notes through dominant scales, and then make sure I can do that around the cycle of fifths. And it's a really clear kind of thing that I can get done in probably I'm trying to do it every day for about 40 minutes when I get up, do my morning routine, come into the studio, and I practice downstairs because I find that it's a different context. So I'm away from the computer, I'm away from all the effects and the amp and all the shreddy guitars. I just sit down with my Fender Deluxe Reverb and my 175, cup of coffee. I do have like an iPad for the music and backings or whatever, but I just kind of have that separate zone. And maybe I should do some streams in the morning actually. Don't know if anyone will be around, but I couldn't possibly just live stream exactly what my practice is when I'm doing this stuff. If anyone's interested in that. Jason Carter, David, when you were learning guitar, what was your most frustrating point? I feel like I have a lot of knowledge but struggle to put it onto the fretboard and make music. Ah, yeah, big time. That's so common. Again, I'm not sure if you caught it, Jason, last week, but I kind of went through a lot of my struggles. I actually went through my biggest struggle, which was going away to music college at 18, being totally unprepared and then failing my way through jazz college for 4 years. And it was largely a similar thing that you're describing there, where I had quite a lot of knowledge and quite a bit of technique, but I just couldn't visualize it and access it on the fretboard in real time to make music with it in the context of doing a jazz degree. So that was my biggest struggle. Yeah. So Nick says, that's great, thanks. Here are your chords. G minor 7, C7, F major 7. Oh, you'd like a chord progression. Okay, right. Yep, get in touch, send me a message. Stacey's giving me a D, a B flat, and a G. D major, a B flat, and G. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's a really nice one. In fact, I'll come back to the yours, Nick, but let's see if I can get a loop going. The reason this is good, that Stacey's, because it's going to force me to be, where's my looper? Looper. And I'll do that again. My TV just told me it's going to turn off. I need to keep that on the monitor. So let's do it again. Okay, so I've got D, B flat, okay, and then we're going to G. Now the reason this is cool is because there's some like going to be some chromatic differences between the chords there. I can't just kind of like brute force one scale shape over these chords. So absolutely, there's a number of different ways and that you could approach this in terms of how you want to play over it. But the first thing, of course, is just like finding the root notes and then the triads of the chords. So I might do something. In fact, I've got a lesson on this on my YouTube channel. I did similar kind of thing to this lesson I did on a Rabia Massad backing track or chord progression. It's kind of similar kind of vibe. So there's lots of ways, and you probably heard I was changing when I was approaching there. But because that D is going to have, like if I play it as a D chord, it's going to have an F sharp in it. As I go to the B flat, it's going to have an F in it. As I go to the G, depends on what I do there, but that's going to obviously have a B in it as opposed to the B flat. So I really need to think, one of the things that you could do is just try to focus on, in terms of visualizing and finding it, is to Jason, yeah, brilliant, thank you, man. There's quite a lot of lessons and licks and things on there. There's a whole backlog of things I need to get uploaded to that, Jason, so stay tuned this week. It's gonna be a whole load of new things hitting it. So one of the things you might want to do is, over the D chord, really focus on that F sharp. Now as it changes to the B flat, obviously that F sharp is not going to work. Okay, so I need to kind of practice visualizing and thinking of resolving that. How can I make that work? So F sharp. Well, I can drop it to the F. I could hold that and become like the dominant 7 of G, or I could raise it up if I wanted to make that into sort of a major 7 kind of vibe. So that would be the sort of thing you could do. And then similarly, like with the notes between the B flat and the G chord. So over the B flat chord. So if I play the B flat, the root, now as it changes to the G, and that kind of works as if you're thinking of it as like a sharp 9. But really, to kind of outline that sound, we want to kind of raise that up to the B. So I'll do that again. So on the B flat, I've got the root here, and then it's going to go up there. Now I can visualize these with the intervals thing, the 2-point thing. I can see it through, you could do it through as a cage shape, however you want to do. But really, I'm just trying to like be able to recognize that I'm targeting chord tones there. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let's just keep playing through that a little bit more. Yeah, okay, cool. Nice one, Stacey. Thanks. Okay, yeah, the Pete Thorns and Wilkinson trim, yeah. I did not know they were compatible. That's interesting, yeah. Okay, Stacey, you were talking about the key. Okay, so that the interesting thing there is that it's when you've got chordal loops like that, it's actually a little bit tricky to quantify, especially when it's kind of like with. There's actually a lesson on my Patreon, and it's not a plug to get you to go and do that, but I think I do actually talk about that, or it might actually be on the YouTube channel actually. Stacey, if you go and check out the video I did on the Rabia Massad chordal loop, it's got a similar kind of thing, and basically you're kind of doing a modal interchange thing there. Definitely look into like modal interchange, because a lot of that, so I'm not going to teach it now on the stream, but you, rather than thinking like, you know, you can't just like brute force one scale or key, like pool of key notes over that progression, but it's going to be a modal thing. I think the Rabia one was like, I think it was like an E flat to an E minor to a C. So again, you've got that kind of difficulty to play over that, because you cannot just play one shape or scale shape over it. Thanks for stopping by, Nick. Yeah, shoot me an email or a message on Instagram, and yeah, have a chat. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate the the selling of the promoting the Patreon. Yeah. Jason, David, what do you think about communal Zoom lessons as part of your Patreon subscription? Probably not. I think yeah, I could do like a Patreon live stream just for you guys, where I could do like an exclusive live stream. That's something I've experimented with a little bit in the past with the old Guitar Hour thing. I think doing it as that's something I'd have to think about, because I think the group dynamics of that could be quite tricky. I know there's a few people that do it. I think Andy Wood does it. I know Jonathan Kreisberg does it, but it's more of like, it's not like a back and forth, which is obviously a normal Zoom lesson. Online lesson is where you focused and you kind of like really engaged. I think it's more of a seminar type thing, which it might have to be. But yeah, I mean, definitely I'm open to suggestions and ideas for improving the Patreon and sort of like opening it out to different content. Absolutely. I had already thought about like taking, as that grows, hopefully as the Patreon grows, then I take that into a more of an exclusive live stream and Q&A kind of set thing. But yeah. Arpan does show us only hammer-ons legato. This is an interesting one, because I feel like that is the way that I play, but it depends on what you mean. So Arpan, specifically what do you mean? Do you mean like not playing with the left hand at all, or because to me, like a pull-off is like pulling off into a hammer-on. So if you mean like literally like doing this, then I don't really play that way. But my general playing is very much just, if I was to, I don't know, what's the best way of doing this? Just play with my left hand only, and there'll be a lot of fret noise here, string noise, but this is how I practiced. So I practiced and worked on a lot of licks and lines, and improvising, just doing this with the left hand purely, no right hand at all, and not worrying about the noise or the ringing, because it was about just trying to like build individual finger independence. So there I'm trying to hammer on everything individually. Tom showed me this, or told me to do this maybe mid-lockdown, or beginning of lockdown, to work on the lazy finger thing, and recommended, I did about 6 months worth, and it probably was maybe a bit more actually now, I'm thinking back to lockdown. Maybe it was longer. But I went back through all my lines and licks, and then just improvising as well. Just trying to get this fluency and this sort of relaxed nature of everything being a hammer-on. So they're like... gets hard and obviously noisy, but... That was quite a cool line. Tom Quayle, yeah. We make the app and work together and stuff. So I've had a good fortune to be able to learn from and jam with Tom a lot. He's a good friend. So obviously you can hear a lot of string noise and like obviously mess and noise, but the real beautiful thing about this is that if you practice that way and really try to build the control and the stamina and the efficiency just with the left hand. And also, one other thing I meant to say there actually is the timing is just, it's not just about tension, relaxing and efficiencies and everything. It's also about the timing that it helps you build. I think the whole kind of like being able to do subdivisions, you know, accurately and things is greatly aided by just working on the left hand. But after some time, when you've done that and then you introduce the right hand back in, whether you're doing all just picking or hybrid like I do, the amazing thing is then is that it really cleans everything back up, because now I can do the muting with the right hand. But I'm still pretty much only doing hammer-ons in the left hand. I don't know Marco, no. I know of him, but I don't know him personally. But yeah, amazing player. Jason, David, I hear, Jason Cott says, David, I hear a lot of negativity about cage system. Is it worth learning or is it limiting? I think it's, I hear, with caged, I hear things negative, but I also hear a lot of positive things about it too. I'm not sure if there's, I'm not sure if there's any one slants one way more than the other. But I mean, I don't have anything like super negative to say about caged. I think it has a really good use case. I know for the kind of, I think it's a good approximation of solving the problem of the kink in the tuning, so the G to B string tuning problem. It's because that is ultimately why the guitar is so hard to visualize and so hard to audiate and hear, is because of the irregularity with the tuning, is that we get used to all these fourths and then all of a sudden there's a third between the G and B string, and that massively overinflates the number of shapes we need to learn on the guitar as compared to other instruments. It's what makes the guitar so difficult, and caged is like a good kind of first step approximation to solving that problem that's very successful for like outlining more basic harmony in pop music and country music, etc. It tends to not work, it tends to fall down a little bit for like more chromatic stuff or fusion based things, and certainly jazz music, I think, is a visualization tool. But in terms of diatonic harmony with few to little kind of things that kind of jump out massively, and if you're not kind of, if the harmonic densities and harmonic rhythm is not very high, so if the chords are not changing super quick, I think it works well. But I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, if it works for you, great. I don't know that many sort of jazz kind of fusion players that adopt the kind of full on that are like, yeah, I'm a caged guy. It's not, and so it's not to say it doesn't work, but it just tends to not be as much the case. Jason, I have the solo app and the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course. Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing. Jason, well, actually, if you have the course, there is I think that, yeah, there is a section on for like learning arpeggios where you can apply the 2-point system for arpeggios. So, like, the thing about the 2-point thing is, you will know from watching some of the course presumably, is that you can build this stuff in real time. So, if I want to play an arpeggio, I learned to construct, if I want to play a C dominant 7th arpeggio, then I can see my C, my root note is here. I can see my 3rd ascending shape 2 is here. I can then see my 5 ascending shape 2 is here. And then I can see my flat 7 ascending shape 1 is here. Now, that is like a real-time construction of the arpeggio, as opposed to learning this as a brute force shape, where I don't know what those other things are instantly. Whereas I can construct this in real time anywhere on the neck, and I can do it in any direction. So anywhere I can find the C, I can now, in fact, I can now improvise with the arpeggio, and I'm not even thinking of it as a shape. I'm just thinking of it as the intervals of C's of the arpeggio. So 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. So if I think about it in that sense, and I want to play my C dominant 7 arpeggio, then, or improvise with those components, all I need to be able to do is to be able to visualize and see where the root is, where the 3 is, where the 5 is, and where the flat 7 is. So I can see the root, I can see my 3, I can see my flat 7, I can see my 5, 1, 3, flat 7, 5, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, flat 7, 5, 3, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5. Now I didn't play or memorize any cage shape or any 3-note, whatever big shape. I'm just thinking of the intervals. And then I can be, to me, that is a much freer way of doing it. Now, yeah, of course, I can see my caged kind of shapes within this. Like, you could visualize this as like sort of, here's my C chord from caged, and I can then see where my flat 7 is against that. But point is, if you're doing it, it's a really interesting conversation we had once with, I think, both Martin Miller and Levi Clay, that are both great players and great educators that do think they're very much a caged people. And sort of, I remember it was on a podcast, a Guitar Hour podcast thing, maybe not those two guys at the same time, but separately, where kind of drilling down into the methodology of what those guys are actually doing is, that they're still, as far as I could ascertain, and Tom and on the podcast could ascertain, is that they're still thinking intervallically, but they've just used the caged framework to find those intervals. So ultimately, now the framework that I'm using, that kind of we sort of espouse, is that to use just the pure 2-point method within an octave, as opposed to the bigger, larger cage shapes. So ultimately, I think everyone is trying to get towards this end goal of like being aware, firstly, consciously aware of the intervals, and then, more importantly, hearing the intervals and just being able to audiate them on the fretboard. So that's definitely something that's like, that's a major point, I think, is that it doesn't matter whether you're doing note names, whether you've catalogued with note names, 3-note per string, caged, the 2-point system, with intervals. Everything's got to get towards being able to be aware of intervals at the end of the day. So what we talk about, what Tom and I talk about with this so much, is that if you're thinking intervallically to begin with your 2-point sort of geometry, then you're bypassing a lot of the kind of like hardcore massive pattern memorization, and you're just in real time just learning to see where the intervals are based on these small 2-point geometric shapes. That's the core thing that why I think the system is so useful. Now, there are other good, valid reasons for working on your 3-note per string scales, because it builds like technique in that sense, in terms of you can use it to run technique. There are very, very good, valid things for seeing cage shapes quickly, because you can play through your triads, nicely through the neck. So things like that. So there are other valid reasons for looking at the other systems, but as a visualization, as a cataloging and mapping tool and utility, I think it's far better and far more efficient to kind of just go straight to thinking of things in terms of what the raw intervals would be. So, but yeah, I mean, harkening back to what I think one of the first questions of the stream was, it isn't about just having, a singular thing and just forget everything else. It's all cumulative, and it can't hurt to work on these things, all of this stuff. Yeah, so the solo app, I don't have it set up this week, Arpan, but last week I actually had a camera on my phone and I was kind of demoing. I was actually practicing with it a little bit. It's a shame. If you go back to last week's stream, Arpan, through that, towards the end of that stream, I'm practicing and teaching with the solo app a little bit. So you might want to check that out. But basically, it's an app that Tom Quayle and I came up with and implemented, and to train you to think about intervals on the fretboard the way that kind of we see it and think of it. And basically, it presents you with a root note, and then it's asks for an interval, and then it's listening for you to find that and play that. And then over time, you gradually build up this sort of like mental catalogue of where these intervals fall on the fretboard based on that. Jason, okay, yeah, student, yeah, everything is expensive indeed. But yeah, Cage doesn't really teach you where the second, fourth, and sixths are, so maybe pentatonic is better and adding the extra notes. Well, I think, and again, because I'm not really a caged, dyed-in-the-wool sort of full-on cage player, but I think that the point is that you learn, let's just say we're taking like, just this because I've been doing it already. So if I take this C here, which is coming out of this C chord, I think the point is that you learn to, off of this root note, you learn that the 6 would be there, or you learn that the 4 would be there, or you see it in relation to the bigger shape. And that's why I think it's a little bit slower. And I think largely for most people are using caged are only visualizing off of the low E string or A string, maybe the D string, but mostly it's the low E or A string. So when they see the kind of big shape, all of the visualization is coming off of that low string or low 2 strings. And they're such big one directional kind of visualization catalogings, the shapes, that obviously it works because, the guys I mentioned, people do make it work, but I think it's just so much harder than if you are looking just very locally at every root note and then only ever working within one octave. That's ultimately the big difference, I think, is that by doing the 2-point system with just the pure interval geometry, you're only ever working within one octave, just up or down. And there's such a limited number of things there's very few, there's like, in Tom's tuning, there's only 48 little 2-point shapes to learn. That's it, just 48, and you can express everything then. For standard tuning, you have to, well, the course goes into teaching us to why it's not a big deal to do it in standard tuning, but there's a few more for standard tuning, but really it's way less than doing a caged approach or 3-note per string approach, or trying to do everything with raw note names. Yeah, well, the other cool thing about Solo is it's one of those apps where if you understand the basic concept, you don't have to be massive. All you need to do, there's some, on the YouTube channel, there's some included kind of videos where we teach the basic, and there's some help videos in the app as well. We teach the basic concepts of it. And once you've got the basic concept, you don't have to have masses of theory knowledge. You don't have to understand what you're being asked to find in terms of the bigger picture with the harmony or the theory or the chord scales, whatever. This is the thing, this is the beautiful thing about this, the method of the intervals thing. All you're doing is finding the intervals. And as long as you understand the concept of that, that's what it's training. So yeah. David, can I ask who your guitar heroes are? One of mine is the Edge, but he gets a bad rep, but he's a sonic genius. Oh man, yeah, like I think I'm not a massive U2 fan, but there are absolutely some classic songs and albums of theirs with some really revolutionary kind of sound textures and things, and yeah, absolutely one of those guitar legends, and pushed the boundaries of that kind of effects-based rig really in sort of big pop music. And it was really the defining thing, wasn't it? A large part of the sound was so that sonic palette of the guitar was so so defining within that band, and the various eras that they were, you know, sort of a fixture of. But my own guitar heroes, so I mean, obviously, the concept of a guitar hero, I think, is as you get older, and certainly as I've gotten older, it's not that I don't have them, I very much do, but you start to realise everybody's human, and I think that, you know, we're all, when you kind of meet your heroes and realize that they're just constantly pushing and, like, you know, wish they were as good as their heroes, you know, it's I don't know, it's somewhat comforting and disappointing all at the same time, but yeah, so who is sort of, I think my absolute modern day hero in terms of in my kind of jazz era, I guess, would be a guitarist called Jonathan Kreisberg, who's a New York-based modern jazz guy, and it was his playing that really allowed me to genuinely fall deep in love with the jazz thing and down that hole about 10, 11 years ago. Discovering him on Spotify, actually it was. It's one of those things where it came up, if you like so-and-so, maybe try this. And it was a song called The South of Everywhere. And it was one of the first kind of like modern jazz tunes I heard that I just adored as the song, as a piece of music, and the melody, and it was just infectious, and the tone and the playing, the technique, the harmony, everything was just, it just, this kind of thing just moved inside of me where I was like, okay, I kind of get it now. And his playing and then getting so deep into listening to him as a player, and then all of his peers and all those kind of modern contemporary guys. But yeah, Jonathan Kreisberg, Alan Hines, the other Alan Holdsworth, all the Legato guys. So obviously Tom, you know, like is absolutely utterly blessed to, you know, be good mates with someone that I massively look up to as, you know, a modern day great. Who else is there in guitar hero world? But if I go back in time, so obviously these now, you know, I'm talking about very much like jazz and sort of fusion and kind of players. But if I go back in time, you know, Guthrie was enormous for me in that, as that bridging gap from like the shred to the jazz. If I keep going back further and further in time, then I think through college was a weird time because I was kind of listening to things that I was supposed to like, but I didn't really like necessarily at the time. So there was like John Scofield, Pat Metheny, which I now do genuinely love, but at the time they were kind of like this sort of checkbox guitar heroes you have to say you like. And then dialing back even further than that, there was like John Petrucci, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Gary Moore, Eric Clapton. Those are my guitar heroes. So they had the biggest kind of shifts and impacts on my actual guitar playing when I was a kid, and yeah, through to now. Yeah, Martin Knopfler and Sting. Yeah. Martin Knopfler was another one in my teens actually as well. Yeah. really remember putting a lot of time into that stuff. George Benson, yeah, I think that was one of the things, a lot of people had that sort of attitude, that if you were in the kind of pop, guitar, rock world, if you were not a jazzer, the assumption was that George Benson's the guy that does the kind of cheesy singer stuff. But my goodness, no, George Benson is absolute all-time great uber beast of, you know, jazz, proper jazz guitar. Yeah, he just had one of those career sort of pivots that, you know, not that many people in the jazz world do. I think it's very much seen as you know, jazz is often seen as like a pursuit that you do. That's why I don't call myself a jazz guitarist. I try to play and enjoy playing and pursuing it as a passion, but like in terms of as a career, that is like such a competitive and cutthroat, you know, such amazing people, such amazing players, and you know, the very, very best in the world are like, you know, struggle to get by sometimes. So I think, yeah, it's one of those things that you know, maybe there was an element of that in the career pivot, or maybe just wanted the change of you know, change of creative pursuits. I enjoy some of his stuff. I certainly liked. I remember, I think I played Affirmation for one of my music college auditions. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. They will if they want to. Jason, yeah. Anyone got any questions or directions? Probably in 10 minutes. These are all on my Patreon, Jason. So this is one from Dancing on the Ceiling, a backing track I did in the solo. It's going through. But you can get that on over on the Patreon. And in fact, all the backing tracks I think I'm playing through here are available on there, or they should be. Stacey Douglas asking, do you use the QC Quad Cortex or the HX Stomp for gigging, or stick to amps? I use, excuse me, I use exactly what I'm using now. So I use the FM3, just down there right now. And I go direct into the desk, and then I have in-ears, and sometimes I use a Laney LFR as well. That is my main setup for function band gigging, corporate gigging, that sort of thing. Yeah, Jason, if you've got an FM3, then you can grab the preset, the tone for that as well. But yeah, so I use that. Gigging wise, I don't use the Quad Cortex. That is never leaving the desk because I don't trust it. As the build quality of those things from all my horror stories I hear is like, yeah, it's not worth taking it off the desk. But when it works, it's amazing. HX Stomp, on the other hand, is total opposite. That's a proper road warrior. That's been in, I don't even put it in a box or a case. It just goes in my luggage, checked in the hold on planes. That's been all over the place, still working. Again, wouldn't gig it because it's just not practical in terms of the way I use it. And also I think modeling, it certainly can make it work. I just much prefer the models, the Fractal and the FN3 for live going direct. But you can totally make the HX Stomp work for that. Nick said, don't want to start a fight, but Fractal is second to none, rocking an FM9. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, to me, that in terms of the modeling, the point-to-point like modeling, I think you cannot beat Fractal. I mean, it's in both quality and quantity. I mean, there are over 300 amp models in the Fractal universe, you know, with such detail and such, you know, adjustability, and they sound so good. Which is not to say that, you know, you can't get amazing results with other things, but it just does feel to me like in terms of Fractal's expensive, but you get an awful lot as well. You really do get a great amount in terms of quantity, and the quality, as you say, is second to none. But, you know, the capturing thing is very, very good too. So the captures I'm using on here from my, you know, I've captured the Friedman, the Morgan, and my Fender Deluxe, and they're amazing. So I play with this a lot now because they do sound and feel fantastic, having done all those captures. But yeah, you know, so, and I do enjoy the Tonex as well. I think there's some phenomenal Tonex, you know, first party premium Tonex captures. And I'm a big fan of the HX Stomp as well. So I love all of it. Derek Garnett, hi mate, nice to see you. Do you feel super repetitive when you just riff over tracks and loops? I do, and I just thought it was a me problem, but then heard John Cordy saying something similar about his own playing. I mean, absolutely. If I stick on tracks like this and I start just playing, especially on stream or whatever, you know, and there's a little bit of background nerves or tension, I mean, it's like, there's going to be like stock things that come out for that. To be honest, it doesn't get me down. I learned a long time ago when I kind of reset my playing in my early 30s to, like, if I was going to do this, if I'm going to dedicate my life to it, then I need to enjoy it. And like, I get pleasure out of playing the guitar. I get really deep, immense pleasure. You know, it sounds stupid, but just like playing, just one note, just hearing the note, hearing the tone. It's like, it's such an amazing thing we get to do. And like, and you know, if I play the same licks over and over again, and I just in that moment, like, you know, if I just focus on the present, be in the moment, and do I enjoy that right now? Yes, I do, and that's fine. Now, if you don't, fair enough too. But I don't think you can circle the drain and get too hung up and caught up on sort of hating your own playing, and I think it's a negative space to be in. And likewise, you don't want to be full of yourself and think you're great. I don't think that I am at all, but I don't get down. I try to enjoy it, and yeah, thankfully I manage to keep in that headspace. Oh, right, okay, yeah. You enjoy it, but in terms of being an entertainer, I think sometimes we can overthink what the audience is thinking. So as an entertainer, absolutely not, because people entertaining that are non-musicians or guitarists haven't got a clue in the slightest. If you're playing to other guitarists or musicians, again, it depends whether it's your ultimate peers or people that are above you. But like, if I think, and even if your fans kind of recognize the same things over and over, like, do they like it? Do they not? I think it's one of those things, like, it's just such a, you can kind of get circle the drain on, and sort of a negative mindset for it. But I think, constantly trying to push and practice new things and identify the weak spots and know what you need to work on, and to actively be working on those things, that gives me great pleasure too. So I think that's totally fine to be juggling those two things, and that gives me a healthy balance, I think. Hey Nick, good to see you, mate. Are you just waking up? What time is it over there? Let's do this one again. Yeah, 10 a.m. Were you gigging last night? It's the weekend, isn't it? So thanks, Jason. It's very kind. interesting. That's very kind, Jason. I just need to do more videos. I've never really given the YouTube thing like my full-on, like full-on attention. Like, I mean, Nick is like Nick in the chat there, Nick Granville, amazing player from the other side of the world, and he does, you know, is really going hard on YouTube this last year, and also, you know, really deserves some growth. So if you don't know Nick, Jason, he's a really great player and educator as well. So go and check out his channel. And yeah, he's got a lot of content, makes videos. He was doing videos every day, but I think he's dialed it back a little bit now, but does live stream as well. So another great guy to go and grow his channel. Another kind of, Nick's another one of those kinds of guys, a bit like myself, where plays jazz but also plays other stuff as well, like a real kind of, yeah, like there's a lot of us really, more than chordies like it. Glad you found the backing tracks, Jason. Yeah, give them a shot, give them a go, have a play. yeah, that was a fun chat. Right, where are we? It's 9:15, 1 hour 40. I think let's do, I don't know. This is quite a nice one. I'll just play through this and then I'll call it a night. What am I? Nick, it's not that one. No, that was the Kilham, and this is we're American. We've gone American Canadian, trying to bridge the divide. So this is Whistle Pig, absolutely beautiful rye. So yeah, Retschel turned me onto that. Here was a recommendation from when we did a guitar outing stream, Christmas stream with him, and he gave me a bunch of ryes and bourbons to check out. So, but I've just got the last dribble here, so cheers to everyone. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, Claudio's an amazing player, Jason. So I'm going to sign off. I think this has worked. I think it's this setup now. It's all technically in place. So hopefully it's all. You could hear the guitar and the balance with the backing track was okay. You can hear my voice okay, and yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, are you in Germany, Jason? Yeah. Beer is very much German beers, German beer festivals. I have a friend who frequents Germany for the beer often. Nick Poppycock, yeah, you sent me a message to the website. Oh yeah, I'll look out for it. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for watching, and yeah, it's been fun, really fun. Brill. That's great to know, Nick. Thanks, mate. Lovely. Okay, well, I'm going to go and, yeah, say goodnight. Thanks, guys. Oh, if you have any suggestions for next week's stream, anything you'd like me to cover, a specific topic, a mini lesson or something to chat about, or something you want to see me play or practice, let me know. You can either drop it as a comment into this video, or yeah, just send me a message anywhere else. I might do a post midweek and maybe a poll or something like that. Keep the engagement up, and yeah, I've finally now, I was on jury service for a number of weeks, so that's why the video content is all kind of in a bit of a backlog. So that's why I've been doing these live streams. But yeah, I've got a few normal YouTube videos to start bringing back out as well, so getting back on that. So, but the goal is to try and keep up this live stream format and try and do it weekly and start doing some more practice streams. Let me know. I don't know what the time zones would be like if it would work, but would it be of interest to see my raw practicing, as in my actual practice, not just like sort of chatting as well? Let me know. I do that in the morning UK time, sort of 9:30ish for about 40 minutes. Anyways, thanks guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.